Some side characters are just as iconic as the heroes, whereas others seem like they were made just to test our patience. So here are the best and worst side characters from every animation studio, starting with Crash and Eddie from the Ice Age franchise.
Very, very stupid.
As successful as the first film was, the sequels didn't exactly age like fine wine. Blue Sky Studios introduces these two possums in Ice Age The Meltdown, and at first, they do work as comic relief with their chaotic energy. Considering Ice Age already had Sid for the comedy though, adding two more chaotic side characters was definitely risky. But in their first movie, Crash and Eddie are essential as they're tied to Ellie's backstory.
That's right. These are my brothers. Possum, Possum, Possum.
She's crazy.
So, Crash and Eddie actually make sense in this film as their chaotic sibling bond with Ellie gives her a strange little found family before she meets Manny. But when Ellie accepts she's a mammoth, they lose their one non-comedic purpose. And for the rest of the franchise, all they bring to the table is chaos.
Mano a mano, mi mami muma, mama me mimi.
Be quiet! Shut up!
You see what I mean? They're giving Fred and George from Harry Potter, but less iconic. Since the second film, Crash and Eddie don't really push the story forward in any major way. In fact, there are even talks of removing Crash from the new sequel coming in 2027 because of how little value these guys add to the films. The Possum duo therefore proves that repeating the same chaotic energy doesn't always make the movie more fun. Blue Sky Studios, however, proves that repetition isn't always a bad thing when done right. Scrat from the Ice Age franchise has one brain cell which he uses to achieve his only goal in life, getting that darned acorn. Every scene starts with the same basic setup. Scrat sees the acorn, he wants the acorn, but then he loses the acorn, followed by general calamity. This kind of joke would get old fast, except the studio keeps escalating the scenarios. Besides cracking the glacier in the first Ice Age film, Scrat has also accidentally created continents on Earth and single-handedly destroyed life on Mars in his pursuit of acorns. So yeah, it's safe to say this guy wants acorns more than anything in the world, including love.
Someone who loves you.
For a while, Scrat is completely besotted with the female Scrat, but once she becomes too controlling, he chooses his one true love again. Honestly, his emotional commitment to a snack is commendable, and so is his ability to hoard acorns, which we see better in The Short Gone Nutty. This guy's got more acorns than he'll ever need, but his greed for just one more causes him to lose all of them. It's like an addiction, really. In Blue Sky's farewell short, Scrat gets the acorn. After years of watching him suffer, that tiny moment feels weirdly emotional and bittersweet. Scrat, therefore, is proof that a character doesn't need dialogue to be iconic. Disney, unfortunately, went in the opposite direction when it created Valentino from Wish.
If only we could understand you.
Man, I wish she hadn't said that. Valentino is one of those characters who would probably have worked better if he couldn't talk. He's cute and expressive enough on his own and works perfectly fine as a cuddly little sidekick. But then the star gives him the ability to speak.
I'm talking. I am talking. Who knew my voice would be this low?
To be fair, the joke is funny for about 5 seconds, then it just gets annoying for me. For a film meant to celebrate 100 years of Disney, Valentino feels like a disappointing sidekick with no memorable moments. Well, almost.
Ooh, good find, Valentino.
My butt found it.
Sadly, this is genuinely the only Valentino moment I remembered. But that's also because this is like his third bathroom joke. Disney really put zero effort into dialogue for their centennial film. My biggest issue, though, is that Valentino adds almost nothing to the story. If you remove him from the film, it wouldn't change much. Disney really should have drawn inspiration from the archives with previous sidekicks like Mushu and Genie. Instead, the studio gave us a baby goat with bass vocals that has nothing funny to say. Thankfully, though, Disney also gave us a side character who in many ways outshines the film's main cast.
Oh, right. right, the poison for Cusco, the poison chosen specially to kill Cusco, Cusco's poison.
It's almost impossible not to love Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. This guy has the energy of a golden retriever who accidentally joined a murder plot. At first, he seems like the usual dumb henchman, but Kronk is weirdly competent. He's strong enough to carry Yzma on his back for miles without breaking a sweat, and for some reason, he even speaks fluent squirrel. He's basically a Disney princess, just more buff. You'd think Kronk was only there for comic relief, but that's not true either. He's actually a pivotal character who sets the entire plot in motion.
Well, it's better you're taking that drinker and these things instead of the real Cusco, huh?
Because of Kronk, Yzma decides to poison Cusco, which eventually leads to him becoming a llama. So technically, the whole movie happens because Kronk tried to be emotionally supportive, which is honestly such a great trait of his. He may work for Yzma, but he's never truly evil. In fact, he's every woman's dreamboat in so many ways. I mean, he's strong, he cares for animals, and he even cooks professional level meals like they're nothing. And although he starts as a bad guy, his moral compass comes in clutch when it matters the most.
That'll work.
Yeah, apparently insulting Kronk's spinach puffs is where the line gets drawn. I love that even Angel Kronk was ready to throw hands. Kronk, therefore, is an amazing side character who drives the story and makes every scene fun. What's even more fun, though, is when you hit that subscribe button. So do it! Anyways, Kronk may have been introduced as a villain, but he's honestly harmless. The same can't be said for Darla from Finding Nemo. Pixar somehow made an 8-year-old feel more threatening than most actual villains, and it's not just because of her creepy little dentist office entrance. Darla has a terrible reputation before she even appears on screen.
She's a fish killer!
I can't go with that girl! I have to get back to my dad!
Honestly, Nemo is right to panic here. The entire tank goes into a frenzy at hearing Darla's name, and that's because she actually killed a fish named Chuckles in the past. So from the fish's perspective, it's only a matter of time before Nemo ends up dead too. You may think Darla's just a little girl who doesn't know any better, but it's still crazy for a kid to have zero empathy for a living thing.
Fishy! Wake up! Wake up! Oh no!
Oh my god. There's one thing to play with the fish and another to turn it into mush, Darla. So you see why everyone in the film treats this girl like a grim reaper in braces and pigtails. Although Darla definitely drives the narrative, she's still one of the weaker side characters given how little she appears in the film. Plus, I'm definitely biased because I mostly hate her for how she treats Nemo and the other fish. But I gotta admit, Pixar really brought its A-game with Frozone from the Incredibles franchise.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
Classic.
This guy is easily one of the coolest characters in the film, pun intended. Not only is he hilarious, but he's also a loyal friend to Bob and his family. Despite supers being banned, he still stands by Bob as Frozone, even in the face of danger.
You can't run on ice. I thought you could use the water in the air. There is no water in this air. What's your excuse? You run out of muscle?
The man literally walked into a burning building with Bob to save people. Reluctantly for sure, but he still did it. Although he misses being a superhero just like Bob, he's still the more level-headed one and knows how to pick his battles. But when it's time to fight, Frozone doesn't hold back. It's safe to say the Parr family wouldn't have saved everyone without him. Frozone has incredibly strong powers that can help him turn the world into his own personal skating rink. Honestly, he deserves his own movie just because he's so funny, loyal, and heroic. And despite his limited screen time, Frozone definitely made a strong impression. DreamWorks, however, managed to achieve the complete opposite with Cloud Guy from the Trolls franchise.
Not gonna happen.
Party on the top floor.
Nope.
Little Slappy? Make Daddy happy?
That's weird.
Have you ever heard of consent, Cloud Guy? Bro has literally one major scene in the film, and even that feels like one scene too many. Cloud Guy's entire purpose is to be a nuisance. At first, you can see what the movie is going for. I mean, Branch is grumpy and allergic to fun, so putting him next to someone this unserious should create a funny contrast. But the joke stops working after the first few seconds.
Whoop! Shark attack, nom 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 nom. Jellyfish, hand sandwich, turkey, snowman, dolphin, helicopter, last supper, monkey in a zoo.
Are you retarded?
What makes me dislike Cloud Guy even more, though, is how he continues to pick on Branch in Trolls The Beat Goes On.
That's my private journal. Not as private as you thought.
Ugh, you see what I mean? This guy barges into Branch's house demanding help, and then uses his private journal as blackmail when Branch refuses. That's literally bullying disguised as comedy. More than Cloud Guy's antics, though, I hate how everyone treats Cloud Guy's behavior like it's harmless. So yes, Cloud Guy takes DreamWorks' worst spot because his only running gag is to make Branch miserable. But thankfully, the studio proves that you don't need humor at someone else's expense to be a funny character. Or should I say, characters.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
The penguins are genuinely one of the best parts of the Madagascar franchise. They have almost no regard for the main plot because they're too busy running their own military operation in the background. You've got Skipper the leader, Kowalski the brains, Rico the weapons expert, and Private, who's the heart of the group. Together, they're always getting up to mischief that's extremely entertaining to watch, even when that mischief is more often than not a crime.
Is she dead?
No.
Unlike Cloud Guy, these penguins are chaotic, but their humor actually has a purpose. They also add to the central plot, like when they fly a plane to get the main characters to mainland Africa, or, well, try to. In fact, fans loved them so much that DreamWorks even gave the penguins their own movie, which was honestly one of the best decisions.
Dave.
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 These four penguins stole the hearts of everyone who has watched the films. Unfortunately, not all penguin characters can be iconic, as proven by Sony's Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania.
Behold the most extreme team, surfing the earth and living the dream.
Now, I know I'm bending the rules a little because the Hang Five aren't exactly side characters in the sequel, but I refuse to acknowledge them as main characters when they butchered a franchise that had such a great first film. The Hang Five are surfer penguins like Cody, except they're all based on actual wrestlers. So instead of building on the mockumentary charm of the first Surf's Up, Sony turns this film into a WWE reunion.
We're trained professionals. Some of us with huge muscles.
That's basically his whole thing. Throughout the film, JC is obsessed with his body, Hunter is way too competitive, The Undertaker keeps rolling his eyes backward, and Paige is the tough anti-diva. But Mr. McMahon takes the cake for being the worst Hang Five member.
I just wish you could milk a fish.
This scene feels like Sony lost a bet or something, because how else did it make the final cut? So yeah, these guys are definitely some of the worst characters in animation history. Thank goodness Sony made up for it by giving us a worthy side character.
My name is Gwen Stacy. I was bitten by a radioactive spider.
In the Spider-Verse films, Miles may be the main protagonist, but Gwen Stacy walks around with main character energy of her own. She starts as a side character, but as the films go on, it becomes clear she isn't just Miles' love interest. Had no idea the villain she was fighting was Peter Parker. Accidentally killing your best friend is the kind of trauma you need hours of therapy to work on. But who's got the time when you're Spider-Woman saving the world? Somehow, though, this event isn't even the most painful thing Gwen experiences. Her own dad tries to arrest her because he thinks she killed her best friend on purpose. That heartbreaking moment forces her to leave him and join the Spider Society. So now Gwen feels utterly alone. Like every Spider person, she carries the guilt and loss from her own universe, which is why she inadvertently hurts Miles rather than helping him. Gwen thinks she's protecting Miles by hiding the truth about his father and the canon event. But of course, Miles takes it as a betrayal, and Gwen realizes she was wrong. This is what makes her such an interesting character. She makes several fear-based mistakes and follows the wrong people, all because of her own trauma and guilt. She realizes her errors, though, and actively tries to rectify them at the end of Across the Spider-Verse. So while Gwen may be complex and flawed, she always means well, making her one of the best characters in modern animation.